Born Dayvon Bennett on August 9th, 1994, in Chicago, Illinois, Dayvon grew up in the Parkway Gardens housing projects, better known as O Block. The area is one of the most notorious neighborhoods in Chicago, heavily tied to the Black disciples. Raised primarily by his mother, Von's life was marked early by tragedy when his father, Walter Silk Bennett, was killed when Von was only 11 years old. His father's death left a lasting impact on him, and though the circumstances have long been surrounded by speculation, with rumors claiming he was killed by a sniper, the pain of losing his father at such a young age stayed with Von for the rest of his life. As a teenager, Von quickly became caught up in the street life that defined so much of O Block. He was arrested multiple times and spent periods of time in and out of jail, including a stint at just 16 years old for armed robbery. While locked up, he earned his GED, showing that despite his environment, he still had ambitions beyond the streets. But those ambitions would take time to surface. In 2014, Von was charged with first-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted murder for a shooting in Inglewood. He spent 3 years fighting the case before being acquitted in 2017, an event that would mark a turning point in his life. After his release, Von turned to rap as his escape. His childhood friend, Lil Durk, who had already become a star in the Chicago drill scene, signed him to Only the Family, better known as OTF. Under OTF, Von began to pour his life into music, creating vivid, story-driven songs that felt like the movies. His breakout single, Crazy Story, dropped in December 2018 and instantly turned heads across the industry. It wasn't just the beat or the flow, it was Von's ability to paint vivid pictures of the streets he came from. That song set the stage for a rapid rise that included mixtapes like Grandson Volume 1 in 2019, LeVon James in 2020, and his debut studio album, Welcome to O Block, just a week before his death. But while his music career was taking off, Von's street ties never loosened. He remained closely connected to O Block and was deeply entrenched in a long-running feud with Black disciples and gangster disciples, particularly the GDs from 63rd Street. This beef spilled over into music, with Von trading shots in the lyrics with rivals like FBG Duck. Von's song Took Her to the O featured a character named Duck, widely believed to be a jab at FBG Duck, and their beef grew intensely over the years. In August 2020, FBG Duck was shot and killed in Chicago, and while later Von claimed they had resolved their differences before Duck's death, federal indictments later alleged O Block members, including the associates tied to King Von, were responsible for the murder. The government even accused Von of placing a bounty on FBG Duck's head, though he was never formally charged. Von's reputation as a feared figure wasn't just tied to music beefs. Chicago police long suspected him of being involved in multiple shootings. He was even named in police files as the alleged killer of Jakara K.I. Barnes, also a well-known female member of the GDs. Despite those allegations, Von was never convicted of any murder charges, but the story surrounding his name built his image as both as a rapper and a street legend. To his fans, he was the ultimate storyteller who lived the life he rapped about. His loyalty to Lil Durk and OTF was unshakable. Von often described Durk as a big brother, and the two were nearly inseparable. During his rise in 2019, both men were arrested in Atlanta and charged in connection to a shooting and robbery. Though the charges against Durk were eventually dropped, the case were only fueled by perception that Von couldn't leave the streets behind. Even as his fame grew, still with Durk's guidance and his own relentless work ethic, Von was quickly becoming one of the biggest stars in Chicago drill, finally seeing the success that once seemed impossible during his years behind bars. But as King Von left the streets of Chicago behind, tension eventually brewed with NBA YoungBoy's camp, adding another layer of drama to Von's life. Rumors spread that Von had been romantically involved with YoungBoy's ex-girlfriend Jania, the mother of one of his children. While neither side fully confirmed the issue, it fueled animosity, particularly with YoungBoy's affiliate, Quando Rondo. The situation stemmed online and through music, the subtle disses and speculation circulating through fan bases on both sides. On November 6, 2020, the rising star's life was cut short. Outside Monica Hookah Lounge in Atlanta that night, a fight broke out between King Von's crew and Quando Rondo's entourage. In the chaos, shots were fired and Von was struck multiple times. He was rushed to the hospital but ultimately did not survive. He was only 26 years old. The Georgia Bureau of the investigation later confirmed that the others died and several more were wounded in the incident. Timothy Lil Tim Leaks, a member of Quando Rondo's crew, was arrested for the hit of King Von, and charges were later dropped under Georgia's stand your ground law. King Von's death sent shockwaves through the rap world. Just a week earlier, he had released Welcome to O Block, his most polished project yet, and one that showcased how far he had came as an artist. For many, his death felt like the silencing one of drill's most authentic voices. He had the potential to become one of rap's greatest storytellers, blending the rawness of Chicago street life with a lyrical talent that few could match. Even after his death, Von's music continued to thrive. His poem album, What It Means to Be King, dropped in 2022, debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200, while Grandson followed in 2023, further commenting his place as one of the most important voices in modern-day drill. Murals, tributes, and fan support kept his legacy alive, even as his name remained tied to the controversy.